Greetings, adventurers, and welcome back to the Den of the Drake. Other dragons hoard gold, while I hoard internet cringe. No matter what kind of character you play, there's always one rule that everyone should follow. Ah, crap, I forgot I have an appointment. Can you guys do me a favor and don't go anywhere, okay? Mr. Drake, I need you to take this more seriously. Don't you remember why you're here? Could it possibly be because I'm a serial felon and a living weapon of mass destruction whose arrest wouldn't be worth the loss of human life and taxpayer dollars, so in a laughable attempt to halt my war on society, the courts have elected to send me to therapy instead? Well, correct, but I would hardly call it laughable. Your crime spree spans across dozens of American cities. 1982, hit and run in Reno, Nevada. 1993, assault with a deadly weapon in Tampa, Florida. 2003, grand theft auto in Phoenix, Arizona. 2017, aggravated assault in San Francisco, California. Whoa, I'm gonna stop you right there, Doc. San Francisco is not a part of America. Your destructive tendencies must stem from somewhere, Drake. I just want to help you. Well, I've always felt like something was missing from my life. Like the bare patches on a balding man's head. If only there was some kind of quality expert care that could be delivered directly to my location without ever having to visit a pharmacy. You know, like Keeps. Well, that was certainly a strange way to put it, but it's good to see you let your guard down, Drake. Maybe we can finally make some progress. Now, what was your relationship with your father like? You know, Doc, I heard that 2 out of 3 men lose their hair, fathers, before the age of 35. But Keeps offers clinically proven research-backed solutions to stop hair loss, father loss at the source. Patient seems to be less receptive to treatment than I thought. They are instead choosing to use our session to shill for hair loss brand Keeps instead of addressing my questions. Perhaps it is a defense mechanism of some kind? All right, we're going to try something else. I would like you to stare at this image and tell me what you see. I see a doctor. No, a medical prescriber. Wait, it's a medical prescriber, doctor, and care specialist. They're offering treatment plans to Keeps customers that come with a full year of unlimited messaging, so they can be connected 24/7. Oh, for the love of... This is your last chance, Drake. We are going to try some word association. I'm going to say a word, and you're going to say the first thing that comes to mind. Apple, hair, pajamas, loss, truck, stops, dog, with, milk, Keeps. All right, let's review. Hair loss stops with Keeps. Oh, god damn it! Hair loss stops with Keeps. To get 50% off your first order, go to keeps.com/denofthedrake or click the link in the description. That's KEEPS.com/denofthedrake. Well, I hope you're happy. You've wasted our entire session trying to sell me on Keeps. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Anything to waste the government's time and money, Baldy? Chaotic evil, bitch! So, are we still on for next week? Now, I don't know about all of you, but I certainly feel better. Sometimes you just gotta let it all out. Now on to what you all came here for. The story I have for you today stars a player who just couldn't wrap her head around the fact that characters need to have flaws to be likable, and how her insufferable Mary Sue led to the deaths of 2 other PCs and an entire campaign. Now, without any further delay, let's go ahead and dive right into the horrifying world of r/RPG-Horror-Stories. Enjoy. This week's story comes from user Ryan X. Wanbin and is titled Mary Sue Gets 2 PCs Killed, Destroys Campaign, and Can't Admit That She Did Wrong. Alright, so this story. I've been hesitating to post this one because the star of the story is an active player and member of Roll20, as I've actually seen her signing up for other games and even trying to DM some. No idea if she frequents Reddit or this particular subreddit, and considering her personality, I think she might throw a fit if she sees this. But fuck it. I am a bored man, and it's been a long time since I posted here. since I've practically posted all the other horror stories that I've gathered since my 15 years of playing TTRPGs. About 1 year ago, I joined a game over at Roll20 that emphasized heavy roleplay and story. It was a homebrew world, with the DM having made his own map, lore, kingdoms, factions, and all the other good jazz. We have a session 0 and everything seems great. I had high expectations for this game because everyone seemed to be of the same mindset of playing a serious roleplay narrative-focused game, with players that would almost never miss sessions. As you know, it's incredibly difficult to find players who will show up weekly in a consistent manner. The star of the story is Miranda, Divine Sorcerer, the chosen one of all goodness and light. A 15-year-old naive teenage girl out to destroy evil after her father wanted her to become some political breeding wife, and she left her home in anger. I am a human fighter, a gruff mercenary man in his 40s that has seen some tough shit in his years of service as a soldier in the various wars, fought by kingdoms across the land, and a knight in sour armor. The other players are wizard female half-elf Neat, who is kicked out by her family for being held up in her home all day and refusing to do any work. A warlock tiefling haunted by some big bad monster and wanting to free himself, and a half-elf female bard who I think just wanted to travel and make stories. Miranda was a problem. While she was most definitely a heavy role player, she had to roleplay everything. Waking up in the morning, taking a bath, changing clothes, waking everyone up and greeting them, eating breakfast, chatting about how everyone slept, having to discuss the current party plan that had already been discussed previously, and then finally after 2 to 3 hours, we got to leave the damn tavern we were sleeping at for the quest that we wanted to undertake. This had the unfortunate effect of delaying every game by about 1 to 2 hours, and she never seemed to notice the DM and the other players becoming wary and wanting to press on. I, who, after a few games of noticing this, had an after-game talk with the group, and we said that she should try to make sessions go by a little bit faster, to which Miranda replied, "No! This was a heavy roleplay game, right? No rushing, come on. If I wanted to just do combat, I wouldn't have joined this game that specifically said it was roleplay and narrative focused." Even when I tried telling her that we should go a little bit faster so that we can actually tackle the story, she adamantly said no. And when all the other party members said that we should, she pouted and said that she would try. Her need to roleplay everything never changed. Miranda also needed to be the center of everything. When she wasn't taking an hour for herself during roleplay sessions, she was barging in on other characters' roleplay moments and was inside probably like 90% of scenes when other characters were trying to do their own thing. In my case, the party had recovered an ancient artifact inside a deep forest to return to a group of forest elves, and during a tavern RP, a cloaked woman had approached me. The two of us drink and chat, and she offers double the payment for the artifact, and said that the elves should not be trusted. To which, before I even get to reply, Miranda enters in the private chat immediately and tells the cloaked woman, "Begone, rogue! We will not betray our employers and break their trust." I don't even get to protest her barging in and specify that I was talking to the cloaked woman in the corner before she threatens the cloaked woman with a fight and forces her to leave. I am very frustrated, but not wanting to roll back and spend more time here, I let it go. Of course, the elves used the artifact to summon forest creatures and all sorts of fey monsters to destroy a nearby human town that they hated, an act which the lawful good Miranda said was none of our business. In Warlock's case, sometime mid-campaign, he had a huge character moment, where he finally confronted his evil patron in another dimension, and it was his character spotlight. The rest of us cannot enter this other dimension, so we wait while the DM and Warlock can do their thing in the private channel. But Miranda, oh no. She can't wait out like the rest of us. She needs to take the spotlight as well. and tells the DM she prays hard to her goddess to allow her inside the dimension. The DM lets her roll a D100, and when she nabs a 90, she screams, "Yes! Fuck yeah! Hell yeah! I'm doing this!" So DM lets her inside the other dimension. And as far as I understand, Miranda stole the spotlight and confronted the big evil patron supposedly protecting the warlock. And when they came back, she was in the process of converting Warlock to her patron. Warlock somehow retained his powers, I don't know how. It's totally understandable and somewhat expected that you're getting somewhat fed up with Miranda's behavior here. But there's another factor in play that is really starting to irritate me. The second that the DM let Miranda roll that D100 is the moment that they solidified themselves as a secondary antagonist in my eyes. The special character moments mean so much to players. That special attention that you get from the DM and from the other players when you are the only one in the scene is a completely unique experience that allows players to define exactly who they want their character to be. It's the D&D equivalent of the guitar solo in Freebird. It kicks ass. But imagine if halfway through Alan Cullen's solo, a random just climbed into the recording studio and started going ham on some bagpipes. I mean, yeah, everyone would remember that one time a homeless dude busted into Lynyrd Skynyrd's recording session, but it would also f*** up one of the greatest guitar solos ever put to music. The fact that this was Warlock's ultimate character moment really just rubs salt into the wound. Literally, the entire point of playing a Warlock is your interactions with your interdimensional sugar daddy. So why the f*** would the DM even allow a 1 in 10 chance of Miranda just swooping in and deleting his entire character arc? Even in minor scenarios like with what happened to OP in the tavern, still feel like major violations. I'm sure the DM wasn't doing this maliciously, but I can guarantee you that this horror story wouldn't exist if the DM said no to Miranda's antics even once. Simply put, rewarded actions get repeated. And with how the DM keeps treating Miranda like she's his little PogChamp, then it's not hard to believe that her behavior is gonna escalate. And lastly, Miranda hated it when she wasn't doing well in combat. Anytime she was throwing guiding bolts, killing enemies, and wrecking shit, she was always giddy and screaming at the top of her lungs. I had to specifically lower her to 50% because it was just killing my ears. However, when the dice weren't going her way, she would start cursing, pouting, complaining the works. If enemies ever knocked her down, she would just get passive-aggressive and whine, going, "Geez, I guess I can't do anything but make a death save. This is just so fun." And when she did poorly in combat, it affected her decision-making. Such as the time when I had told an enemy mercenary band that had been working for slavers to drop their arms when we were winning the encounter. They did, and Miranda proceeded to kill them all, to which I questioned her decision-making, and her reply was, "Lawful good." To which, after the session, the other players, out of character, said Miranda seemed psychotic because her character, being a 15-year-old girl that was slaughtering people surrendering. To which Miranda got upset and said that she knew what she was doing, and that she was a veteran of these games, and we all dropped it because she was writing multiple paragraphs in the Discord about how she didn't do anything wrong. All of her behavior culminated in the fight that would eventually destroy the campaign. We had tracked down the slaver/cult leader and attacked their base. Long story short, we killed a dozen mooks, several NPCs with character classes, and was finally confronted by the big bad evil wizard woman. The DM describes how a dark aura surrounds her. By this point, it was just the 5 of us, some of us down a few percentage of our HP, and some resources spent, against the slaver wizard and NPC apprentice she had and some other NPC mercenary. It was going to be a tough, but from what I could see, a doable fight. Now Miranda had done semi-poorly this fight. She missed a lot of guiding bolts and had one of her fireballs counterspelled, and had practically used all of her resources. She was complaining and whining as usual, and like I said, her decision-making was compromised. Because when the big bad evil wizard woman came before us, she immediately grabbed Wizard and Dimension Doored the fuck out with her last spell slot. This was at the point where I was like, whoa, wait. I think we're about to die if you do this. Miranda firmly stated that we had no chance in this fight. I told her that my fighter is currently on haste, still has several of his Battlemaster maneuvers, still had an action surge, and that I was about to go all out on the enemy apprentice, which I was certain was gonna kill her, making the fight go to a 5v2. Miranda argues, "Well, that's if you roll well. You're assuming a lot of things. I'm making the best decision for everyone. Besides, it's already happened." I ask Wizard if she allows Miranda to Dimension Door her, because it requires consent of the person being teleported. And because Miranda and Wizard had started a romantic relationship, Wizard hesitantly replies, "Yeah, I think in character, she has no reason to not consent." So yeah, Miranda and Wizard teleport 500 feet away. My turn comes up and the party decides we have no choice but to flee. Because I'm still hasted by the Wizard, I get to bolt out of there and out of the enemy base. Bard and Warlock are not so lucky. Big bad enemy Wizard casts Incinerate on the Bard and vaporizes her into dust, to which I am slamming my head on the desk because our Wizard had Portent, one 18 roll she had saved up, and could have given the Bard the save she needed. Warlock is hold-personed by the enemy apprentice, and the rest is history. They both die. So the session ends and there's a pretty awkward atmosphere. I ask the DM if the fight was winnable and he tells me, yes, it was definitely winnable. The apprentice and mercenary enemies were not that tough. Warlock chimes in, "Well, I guess mistakes happen." And Miranda goes absolutely defensive. She argues angrily that there was no mistake, that she made the best decision given the circumstances. There's some back and forth arguments between Miranda and the players about why the DM would just outright kill the party in an unwinnable fight, why she couldn't listen to my protest, whether Miranda's decision was a mistake or not, etc., etc. The party is trying to be very, very polite about all this, but Miranda sounds like she is on the verge of crying. She ends up quitting the Discord. Having invested about 25 or so sessions in this game, it is decided that we end the game here, as understandably having 3 out of 5 characters now gone leaves the story in an awkward spot. Bard and Warlock really don't feel like re-rolling new characters. We suggest starting a new game and that the DM says that he could think of something, but like all things, the channel slowly died out and the game ended. Miranda has left a bad taste in my mouth. A lesson, I think, where I need to be more assertive when it comes to addressing problematic behavior. And that stubbornness and refusal to admit mistakes can end a game. Cheers to finally having gotten a horror story in my retinue, after I had told all of my past ones. End of story. Once again, we see a DM refusing to just tell their problem player no. Even if they can't muster up the courage to say, "No, Miranda, you can't condemn your party to death because you aren't the center of attention." There's this lovely little spell in the game called Counterspell, which is only named that because Wizards of the Coast couldn't name a spell quit your bullshit. Player autonomy is important. It's why I despise DMPCs so much. But player autonomy can easily be taken away by other players, just as easily as it can be taken away by a DM. Hell, with all the enabling and Mary Sue shenanigans, Miranda is effectively a DMPC herself. And no, I will not be exploring the implications of that. Now before we go, let's take a look at this week's Gallery of the Drake. This week's fan art comes from viewer Admiral Sheba. Here we see the Drake himself recoiling in horror at something even he was not equipped to deal with. Look, I've seen some messed up stuff in my life, but how the f*** can one man own so many tigers?
Carol Baskin killed her husband.
And does he take PayPal or Cash App? Thank you again, Admiral Sheba, for submitting your art. If you'd like to see your artwork featured in Gallery of the Drake, be sure to send it to the email in my About section. Fan art is my favorite part of doing YouTube, and it means the world to me that I can inspire artists like you to create artwork like this. With the story over and artwork displayed, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you feel like supporting the channel further, my Patreon link is in the description. I would like to thank you all for listening, and I hope to see you next time in the Den of the Drake.